this comment: if you love what you do, you'll never work another day in your life. Hello there, folks. Kirk and Jason and Madeleine here. I want to show you guys some tips on how to minimize cracking in a stucco wall, because most people, they say, well, gee, will we get some hairline cracking? And a lot of people call me and say, hey, these guys just finished my brown coat and there's cracks. What did they do wrong? Nothing. They didn't do anything wrong. But I'll show you how to minimize it. When you put a scratch coat on a wall and allow that to cure for 48 hours and then put a brown coat, that is supposed to crack, and it always does. I've never seen an instant in my 40 years that it hasn't cracked. It will crack. That's typical. It's normal as it cures. What I sometimes do to minimize it, and I'll show you guys this because it seems that it's such a common question about how do you minimize it? Well, here's how you minimize it. Right here we got the wire coming here, and we crisscrossed our wire. Now it's double wired, and if you want, you measure the depth of your wall. You look at it. You don't need measuring tapes or any of that. You just look at it. Okay, I can see that's between 3/4 of an inch, and then it's going to fade into here about 1 inch. That's going to be feathered in. The transition is going to be feathered in. So if I put a corner aid, this is just corner aid for corners, guys. All I'm doing is flattening it out, and I'm going to tack it on. I did it here and here and here. And here's another thing I did. This is to minimize cracking. There is no such thing as doing a wall where it doesn't crack. Even the materials that say it's crack free, yeah, if it's in midair, if it's on a building, the building moves. That's what cracks stucco. So, for example, okay, I took this piece here and I went all the way down here. But to show you another example, windows and doors always hairline at an angle like this. You'll see them crisscrossing just at a slight angle. So to put it here, that wouldn't do good. To put it here, this would reinforce it. And could I put an expansion joint here? Yes, but it would look ridiculous because the rest of the wall don't have it. Say like there, for example, that wall doesn't have it. So if you put it in one place, it's got to line up. But here's a quick tip, guys. You just, and I could float these on. What does that mean? Float it on. I don't want to embed it too deeply. Like our staples go into the stud 7/8 of an inch. That's the leg has to be in the stud to hold the amount of weight of stucco. So as a rule, I'm using 1¼ inch crown staples, so 7/8 of the leg goes into that stud, and that's to account for the plywood. Okay, so anyway, getting back to what I'm showing you. You put this on here, and does this minimize cracking? Absolutely. How many times have I done this? About 50 times. I don't do it on every single house. Sometimes, I mean, we're about to do a one-coat system here. What's a one-coat system, guys? That's a scratch and a brown done on the same day. And there are many ways to say one-coat system, guys. You can say same-day applications. One coat doesn't mean 1 solid inch, because I can't even put 1 solid inch on. And if you watch what we do, I can put a lot of mud on. I've done 6 inches at a time, over and over and over on certain foundations. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and mix up some mud. I'm going to do a scratch coat on this. And as soon as I'm done with that scratch coat, I'm going to turn right around and stick a brown coat on it. Anyway, they're going to mix me up some mud. And I'm going to quit my yammering. And when I get some mud, I'm going to show you guys some more tips. Mud! Where's that mud, baby? This is when I was working with the union. We'd always scream out, mud! Just to piss the hod carriers off. Beautiful. Keep them coming as fast as you can, baby. I'm going to show you, I'll explain some things to you guys. As far as, I'll do this whole job on video if you want to watch, guys. As far as how to avoid any hairline cracking, we all know that that's not going to happen. We're going to get some hairline cracking, and that's the nature of stucco. However, with what I'm doing right now, I'll tell you a little story about stucco guys. Back when I was in that same union, we used to have a guy on our company, and his name was Whitey. And we used to call him Old Man Whitey. Why'd we call him Old Man Whitey? Because he was old. He was my age. We were all 20 and 30, and we used to do a lot of white coating, things like that. And when they'd say, hey, Kirk, you're going to work with Whitey, I'd go, yeah. Because you didn't have to do much with Whitey because he was kind of old, and he would go slow. But the thing about Old Man Whitey was he knew everything. We did a lot of the pier work at San Francisco, and we did a lot of the designs for those old railroad stations. Thank you, baby. And they'd say, okay, Kirk, go with Old Man Whitey. And I'd think, cool. I love working with that guy because, again, he didn't do a whole lot of work, so we had it easy. But Old Man Whitey, he knew a lot of things. He was telling me about, you know, in my day, way back, we do one coat. And this was many, many years ago, guys. Many years ago, one coat. Why? Because you do one coat, and then this is Portland cement, guys. You do one coat, and let me find my cheater and get off that topic for a second. Okay, coat. One coat used to be done a lot. This is what Old Man Whitey told me. He said, but people kept screwing it up trying to put one coat. You can't put one coat. How are you going to put one coat 1 inch thick? You can try, but you can't do it. So they made rules. And the rules were, do a scratch coat, let it set, come back 48 hours later, and put your follow-up coat, because people don't have the knowledge. The knowledge to what I'm doing is I'm putting this on. I'm judging my coat here by the day. It's about, I don't know, 75 right now. It's a beautiful day. 75 is perfect weather for this. So what I'm doing is I'm putting on just a scratch coat. And this is called a cheater. A go devil. If you're looking for it, put go devil. And again, in my day, they didn't let us use these, they said, because it makes the hod carriers work too hard. I thought, really? But we couldn't use these working union. But anyway, the point of old Whitey's story was that back in the day, they'd put Portland cement, just like I'm doing right here, on. When it would set, they would put the follow-up coat. Then years went by, and now they did a scratch coat and a brown coat because certain people just didn't know how to do it. So 40 years ago, 50 years ago, Western, La Habra, all these companies were competing to do a one-coat system, and because so many people only had a clue what the heck that meant, they put fiber mesh in it, a lot of fiber mesh in, and it worked well. You're supposed to do what I'm doing right now. You do your first coat. You let it set, but I mean, I have to scratch all this. So once I scratch it all, I turn right around and I can put my second coat on. Now, what's the advantage to that, guys? I'll tell you the advantage to that, depending on the material you use. Bird! I'm working her to death. The advantage is, say for example, everybody knows that, I'm out of mud anyway, so I could ramble a little bit. Everybody knows that if you want stucco, you have to take Portland cement and mix it with sand. That's a given. If you want concrete, what do? You take that same Portland cement and you mix it with rocks. You mix it with rocks of various sizes. You can get a PSI strength of between 3,000 to 4,000 pounds, depending on the rocks you add. So it's the same stuff. Thank you, baby. You okay? Yeah. All right. It's hot out here. So here's my take on things. If I'm working on a job, and if you think about what old Man Wiley used to say, that Kirk, yes, we used to do one coat everywhere, but because so many people screwed it up, they had to implement some rules for the people who didn't know what they were doing. And so with all of that, they put new rules out about you just scratching brown. Yeah, I know I went over that already, but I'm getting sidetracked. Anyway, let me go over some materials too for you guys. Since I'm talking about minimizing hairline cracks, I better tell you about some stuccos. Most stuccos you can apply. There's about 20 different name brands. Now you can apply those, and when that stucco's cured, that means 28 days go by. It achieves a PSI strength of about between 12 and 1600 PSI. That means how strong it is. Now, with one coat systems like this one here, this, when dry, can be up to 3,500 PSI. And you say, wow, that's amazing. That's twice the strength and then some. Yes, it is. And another thing, guys, is, say for me, I come out one time, I do the scratch coat, I do the brown coat, back to back. What does that do? You gotta look at it from a lot of angles. Like, one of them is, well, gee, on average, I would have to come here twice. I would have to come here twice. That means, and I'm pretty far from my house, guys. I'm looking at the mountains over here. I don't live like where there's close to mountains by the Pacific, so I come out only once. Now the benefit of that to me is I don't have to make 2 trips. If I don't have to make 2 trips, I'd make 1 trip, and some might say, well, gee, that benefits you, but how the heck does that benefit us, the buyer, the homeowner? I'll tell you, because same day stuccos, even though you're not supposed to overmix, and we know this as a rule, also have the capability of having double the strength. So what one could consider is the fact that, okay, bring it out, sweetie. Beautiful. Beautiful, baby. Thank you. Is that the cost of the materials. Perfect. Now you take the standard stucco. Now, Home Depot, Lowe's, they got a whole bunch of them. Take any one you want. Just ideally, I'll tell you that they cost between, I'd say, I don't buy them, but I'd say about $15 to $20. So if you're paying $15 to $20 for a bag of regular stucco, and after you do both coats, or one coat, you end up with a strength of, say, 12 to 1,600 pounds. That's how strong it is. And again, remember the bags that cost about 15 to, say, for example, 17 bucks. Now you switch products, like the one I'm using here. You switch products to, say, BMI, or say, Eisenwall. Eisenwall, way back when, you had to have a certification for it. And you say, what the heck is Eisenwall? Well, that's a one-day stucco, same thing, whether or not you're applying it back-to-back, same day. That particular product costs a whopping $40 to $70 a bag compared to where you go. So if I'm going to take a job, and I tell somebody, well, gee whiz, I'm going to come out here, and I'm going to do only one coat. Now, common sense says the person might say, well, gee, that's advantageous for you, but how do how do I get any benefits from that advantage of you coming once? We give a superior product. It's twice the strength and then some. So I save on, I don't have to make 2 trips, I make 1. Who wants to pollute the air with your truck? Who wants to put maintenance on your truck? But I spend a lot more for the material, and yet they get a job that has twice the structural strength. There's the give and take, guys. It's a win-win situation. That's why a lot of times when you watch what we do, you'll see me, and you'll see me putting on everything in one shot. Now granted, I do complete homes also, and when I do a complete home, there's no benefit in it for anybody. So we'll scratch it, come back 2 days later, and then brown it, or a week later, or a month later. It doesn't matter when we come back, but the idea is we'll just do a scratch coat on that because it would be too expensive to go this way. But have I gone the way of a complete accelerated house? About 20 to 50 times. But anyway, back to the original concept of what I'm doing. I'm showing you guys how to minimize cracking. Not only is the lath important, but the material you use is also important. This particular material, again, it has a shear strength or a PSI strength of 3,500 PSI. That means it's strong. If you figure, and you know cements, which nobody does because it's kind of boring, except for me. And what I'm doing, guys, is in case you're going to try to do this stuff, always wet your tools before. This is that Go Devil. You got to wet it. You got to wet it. Why? If I try to pick this up dry, they're both going to stick together. It's not going to come off. So you wet your tools. And what I'm doing is just for Madeleine to bring me another bucket. You say, wow, you guys are working the crap out of your I don't think so. Susan's out there mixing, so she's just carrying them. And besides, she's a pretty strong girl. Okay, moving on. Back to the cost of these products. The average bag, again, is under 20 bucks, unless you're going with one of these same-day products that are of quality. So if you want to minimize cracking, go with a stronger product, a much stronger product, one with a high PSI strength. Lath it properly, and that'll minimize it. Will it stop it forever? No, no, no. There's no such thing, because it's not the stucco that's cracking, it's the house that's shifting or moving. With doors and windows that open and close, you got a big door, front door, killing time while Madeleine's bringing me mud. You got a big door. Now you shut that door. What happens? The door hits and goes tu-tu-tu-tu-tu. You can't see it, but that's vibration. Vibration to stucco is like kryptonite to Superman. It's not good. It's like concrete, the same thing. I'm looking at the fellow's pool here and I'm seeing all the expansion joints. That's good. That means the stucco can, or the concrete can move within itself without it can breathe. And if it can breathe and move, then that's what you want. And while Madeleine is bringing me mud, I'm going to do the slow stuff. The slow stuff is here. And if you watch long enough, guys, I'll show you how to finish this whole thing, because I got nothing better to do. Jay set up the camera. He set up the camera so it's already on, and I got to do this. If you guys got nothing but time and want to hear me ramble on about other things like old Man Wiley, baby, you know how fast I am. Slam it on there. Thank you, baby. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to continue. I'm not sure if the camera can see this part, because Jay says, well, Dad, in order to get everything, I have to put the camera here, so we might not be able to see that one side. So you guys, if you can't see this side, you just hear me rambling. I'll be done there in a second. Thank you, baby. Okay, now that I got a lot of mud, I'll switch back to my handy dandy Go Devil. All right, I'm going to use the Go Devil one more time. Why? Because there's not much to this. So I'm going to take the Go Devil. And why am I using the Go Devil? Am I in a hurry? No, I'm not in a hurry, man. I'm having fun. Here's the Go Devil. Okay, there's 30 pounds there. Now I've got this Go Devil completely between my spine. I'm using my lats. I'm using my lats to hold this up. So this won't tweak your back, guys. I've been doing this a lot of years. I know how to save my back, and I know how to destroy it. I do not want to destroy it. So I'm putting my second coat on. One more time with the Go Devil, and again, all you're doing is you're using your lats, not tweaking your body with the hawk and trowel. I'm going to show you some things here, guys, that I don't generally do, but to prove a point, I'll show you. All right, I'm going to retire this guy right here. Hawk and trowel. You guys walk into a chiropractor's office, you'll see a picture of a plaster, and he's like this. He's like that because, as a rule, I'll put, okay, there's 20 pounds. 20 pounds right there. If I put more, okay, that's 5. Let's just fill it up just to prove a point. Right there. Now that's about 35 pounds, maybe close to 40. This trowel is 5 inches wide. It'll hold a lot. So the reason I use a Go Devil is because this now, I'm holding a lot of mud. And I often do this anyhow. There's a lot of mud on here, guys. So I'm taking off a little bit at a time. But as I'm taking off a little bit at a time, I'm still holding this, guys. There's a lot of weight here. So that's what will tweak out your spine. And that's, I've seen my share of chiropractors for that reason alone. Mainly when I worked with a big company, we do things that your back is not designed to do. Your back is designed to walk up right like an animal, like a mammal. Not the animal, the mammal. Man, we're designed to walk upright. And when I was working with this big company for a lot of years, they pumped stucco on houses. Now they pumped 200 bags a day. Danny Smith plastering, Fred Smith plastering, Alexander plastering. I worked for a lot of those guys. Those are fun days. Fun, fun, fun.
Man, you ain't done yet?
I'm having fun here. I'm having fun, and I think I probably won't even need any more mud than that.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, that's, I'm getting there. But let's see, where was I at? Danny Smith plastering. Okay. I mentioned Danny Smith plastering because, like, I wear this belt, and sometimes people say, dude, what do you wear a belt? Generally, when you're plastering, I mean, it's difficult enough, but I'm used to this. I could do this all day, and I do usually do it 8-10 days, depending on the day. When a gun is shooting the cement on the house, now we're going below. The planks are here, and then they're with Union or any other shops. They're usually all weirded out. So you have to go down below the plank 2-3 feet, and it tweaks your back out. That's when I was a young dude. So I keep wearing it because I do things that are kind of odd. I don't want to tweak out my spine. So to me, is easy. Most of you guys who are tapers, it's all easy. What's hard, or what's not really hard, but what really takes the practice? Material knowledge. Material knowledge. I'm going to finish up right here. I put a piece of tape. Should I cover the whole window? I need to. No. This particular window, I could wipe it right off. If we used to work with like-it windows, they were oxidized and it would stain it. It would be like putting a little bit of stucco on a redwood. It would blacken it. So, all right, so I'm going to put some closure on the stucco part and finish this off. real quick. And then I'm going to show you how to rod it. What does rod work mean, guys? That means I'm going to make the wall true and plumb. And usually I just use my trowel because the trowel is pretty large. Okay, here's what a derby or a straight edge or a T-bar. And you can just pull it up. It's called rodding the wall. You make it true and plumb. I have guides here. I have the wall as a guide, and this is a guide. And to anybody says, well, gee whiz, you were supposed to cover that door down. Not necessarily, guys. Not necessarily. I mean, if I'm doing a whole house, every window's covered, every door is covered, because we're doing a whole house like crew. I can't watch everybody, but on something like this, I'm doing it myself with my kids and having fun. For those who might just have tuned in for the very first time, we've been doing videos for about 10 years. Jason is my son, Madeleine is my daughter. So I'm going to finish this off and show you one more thing before I take my pizza and let this cure, because I know when this is going to set, guys. I can come in about, say, if we're in the direct heat and it's 100 degrees and it's beating down on this wall, I mean just tearing it up, I'd be hustling a little bit more. If we were in the super cold weather like 50, where it's just above snowing, this will never dry. So it'll take a long time. What Jay does is he has the ability to put accelerators or retardants. So Jay commands the set time. If he wants it to set in, say, 10 minutes, he'll make it set in 10 minutes. If he wants to make it set in 5, he can make this set in 5. It's all a matter of knowing your materials, knowing your accelerators, knowing your retardants. I'm going to just show you something else. I got some excess mud. So what am I going to do with this excess mud? I'm going to fill out, because in a second I'm going to go ahead and take a derby and show you how to derby it too. And what's derbying? That just means make a wall true and plumb. How true do you want it? Well, if I make it too true, it won't match what they have. So I don't have to be too perfect. In fact, if I'm too perfect, it won't match. So I got to give it the old world charm. Okay, the old world charm means just match what they have. Don't make it perfectly straight like a level. Okay, now that's done. That's a scratch and a brown coat. And notice, scratch and a brown is done back to back. You can do it the same day. You can do it the same hour. It depends on your mix. Now, this is called a derby. And a derby, I don't need to use a derby, but if you guys say, well, man, I'm going to save some dough and I'm going to do like old Kirk, get yourself one of these guys. It's true and plumb. If it's all cockeyed and bananaed out, just take it, straighten it out. Okay, that's straight enough. So now with this, here's what I'm going to do. This is called making a wall true and plumb, or rodding it. You take the derby, and guys too, if you're going to derby a wall, you're not going to let the wall dictate it, because you'll end up going like this. I used to do this when I was young. I'd take it and go straight up. Take it, go straight up. You dictate the flow of the stucco, otherwise it's going to be Humpty and Bumpty. So take it, straight up. You'll say, well, can I use the wall as a template? Sure you can, but don't make it your whole thing, otherwise you'll have a Humpty Dumpty wall. Kind of like spraying paint.
Yeah, I'm sorry folks, we're having a little bit of audio difficulties.
Ah!
There you go.
Oh, thank you. So nobody heard all that rambling?
They heard it, it was just a little... That's a lot better.
Okay, sorry guys. All right, now here, I'm going to take it up. Take it up. Now watch this. Pick it up, hit it, and come down. There's a trick to that, guys. Take it up and come down. That just makes it so when you look at under here, it's not wiggly. Take it up and come down. Well, if you think, well, gee, I don't know how to do that. Well, this won't allow me to do it, but say you can go vertically also. But I could straighten all that out with my finish coat. Here, again, remember I was talking about a template. Okay, since I don't have tape on this window here, I'm just going to stay away from it. But there it is. Now that makes it true and plumb. As true as I want to be. If I'm too true, it just won't match what they have, because this is a little, can the camera see this in the shade? This is called a float finish. A float finish just means a sand finish, the same thing. They call it a float finish because we use the float to bring the aggregate out, but you guys know it as a sand finish because the sand shows. Anyway, we're going to have some pizza, kick back. I'm going to come back here and show you how to float this whole thing. Probably a 5-minute adventure. All right, guys, I'm going to show you how to straighten this mess out now. See this right here? This is a certificate, approved applicator. What does that mean? Nothing. It means I took a course on how to put this on years and years and years ago. Eisenwall we're using. Who makes Eisenwall? Rapid Set. Rapid Set makes Eisenwall. Where do you buy Rapid Set? You buy Rapid Set at Home Depot, Lowe's, or any of the hardware stores. You could do exactly what I'm doing. They come in 10-pound boxes for little bitty patches, like say you move a vent. They come in 25-pound boxes. It's just around a window. They come in 50-pound bags, 100-pound bags. We like the 88-pound bags. I mean, when I said 100, I mean rounding that stuff off. Hey, baby, I would let you do this, baby, but I'm in a hurry now, so I'm going to slam it out. We generally all do. Everything I'm doing, we all do. The whole family does, guys, but for the sake of showing you this now, okay, here's what you do. Once you got that stuff on there, and a tip is, if you got it on, put it as straight as possible, unless you're doing a crooked wall. Then you do it crooked, and that's no joke. There's no humor in that. It's just, that's the end. You do it crooked. Okay, here's what I did. Now that's true and plumb, kind of, sorta. If it's off and you got bubbles here and there, you could do this, guys. You could take a trowel and shave it. This is called shaving. And all you do is look at it, guys. You can shave it. I left it humpty because I wanted to show you guys this. You shave it, guys, and we're gonna clean that plywood up. Somebody will call and say, "Hey, I was watching you guys made a big mess." You shave it, guys. Look. Or you can use this. UK, they're real fond of these plastic floats. Here, this is a polyurethane float, rubber, hard rubber float. And what this does is it compacts it, pushes it in, gives it some strength, guys. If you compact a wall, you give it strength. You push it in, condense it, but it also makes it true and plumb. I'll show you real quick how that works. You just take it. Now, Madeleine put some tape on it for me because she knows now I'm going to go over it. So what this does, guys, it's making this wall true and plumb. Do I want it too true? No. But what it does is it'll help the wall compress, and if it compresses better, then it's less likely to hairline crack. What happens if I were to steel trowel this wall? That means I take a steel trowel. I'll show you real quick, since you guys got the basic gist of what I'm saying. If you steel trowel wall, I'm going over all kind of details. I'm bored, guys. This is a quick job. Been in quarantine too long, so I'm taking advantage of being out for a while. If you steel trowel wall, now that's sealing it. Now it can't breathe, but sometimes that's necessary to match a finish. So that wall is like this, and so eventually the air gets between it, gets trapped, and you get some cracks here and there. So it's better to open it up with a float. And I'm going to open it up anyway with a sponge float, because that's the finish I'm matching. If you guys, you look at it and say, well, how how set is that stucco? I mean, you're looking at it, or the film, the camera's showing it, but it doesn't really give you an idea of how set this is. So you viewing me doing this, you might say, how hard is that? Well guys, if it's too hard, then you'll have to use muscle. If it's like that 3 Bear story, I don't want to use muscle. I have the excess muscle, but I don't want to use it. I'll save that for something else. Might need that later. So I'm using skill right now. And skill is the difference between putting it on and knowing when to hit it, or putting it on and losing it. And if I lose it, that means it got hard. It starts to lighten up, and then I'll have to push with both hands. You guys probably seen, if you watch what we do, we got about 850 videos, and we've been doing this a long time, guys. So if this wall, for example, we're in the hot sun right now, which is going to be in about 15 minutes, I would be going faster. Why? Because I wouldn't have taken lunch, personally. This wall tells me when to take lunch. It's not our choice. If I think the hot sun is going to make it hard, and we mixed it real stiff, then of course I would not have taken lunch. I would have just floated this, because I don't want to use twice the muscle. There's no glory in using twice the muscle. The glory is doing it right and looking at it and knowing your materials. And that's what we're good at, guys. We know our materials. And by the way, that so-called certificate, that's as old as the hills, because the materials are sold everywhere now. Because they're so successful. Why are they so successful? Is it luck? No way. Rapid Set produces a product that is above the average person. I mean, the average company. They produce a product that is so incredibly strong, and it sets quick that you can't beat it. The material we use, Eisenwall, you get it only at the plastering yards, guys. You're not going to find it at Home Depot. That stuff is temperamental, so we add our own sand to that. Usually 3 times the amount of sand to each part of the cement plaster. If you go to Home Depot, you're going to get it all in one. All you do is add water, so you can't screw it up. Okay. I went in detail to show you what this will do. Now, we're going to float it. And that's why it's called, us plasters, we call it a float finish. You homeowners call it a sand finish, because this is a float. This is a float. Both floats, there's lots of colors. There's blue ones, green ones. Color doesn't matter. This one, I'm kind of partial to these yellow ones, except when they're full of stucco like this and not cleaned. Anyhow, a float, these are yellow bee floats, a buddy of mine makes them. Anyway, these floats here. Now, what I'm going to do is, there's a camera, right now we have a pretty solid finish. This doesn't match what they have. In other words, this one here is smooth. Theirs is very sandy. I don't know if you take it sideways, Jay, if you can see some of the sand, the grit. There's a lot of sand and grit right here. This is a wall right here that shows better. So that grit, all this is sand, guys. I got to match what there. It's not for me to dictate what finish I'm putting it on. I'm matching whatever's on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this yellow float, guys. And here's how I do it. Okay, you guys might say, well, when is it okay to float? If the wall's still wet, where you can see it's kind of solid. If it's still wet, it's not ready. If it's too hard and white, you lost it. You just lost it. You better start from scratch. This one is just right. It's like, Kirk is the best. I know when to set my materials, guys. Now, I don't want to float that with this. I'm going to bring this back. Okay. Messing around, guys. I got time. Okay, here's what we want to do. We're taking a sponge float. Tap, 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 light. Hard here, but if you're going to tap it here, light. Otherwise, you bend this float the wrong way. We want it bent the right way. Okay, because I have red tape here, I'm going to take it this way. I'm going to take it this way. I'm cleaning the red tape plus matching the finish. One more time like that, guys. I'll show you a little trick. You can clean all the water out of this float. You get all the water out. Why? Because if it's full of water, it drags. We don't want that. What a drag it is. Dragging stucco. Okay. Same thing. I'm going to clean the tape here, plus I'm going to give it the finish. There, that's one side. And now I'm just cleaning the tape. Oops. Let's try that again, guys. Get all the stucco off of this float. Tap, 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 light. Okay. Much better. Okay. If this accumulates with sand, then it doesn't float out too well. It'll drag the stucco. So that's done. Now, again, guys, all I'm doing is bringing out the aggregate. I'm bringing out the sand, aggregate. Same thing, fancy word. All right. I'm going to finish this door jamb the same way I did the window. I take it, now see this part is filthy. This is clean, so I'm going to use the clean side once more to clean the door. I'm doing two things at once, guys. If you remember that, you're good. You save a lot of time. Now again, I'm just cleaning this float out and feeling that sunshine on us. Oh, it's nice and hot. Okay, above a window. A lot of it, you don't want it this float. If I put a lot of water in here, what's going to happen? It's going to hit this Z-flash and go all over the window. The window's already protected. It's covered. You can't see this cover, but it's there. Okay, since the window's protected, and I don't want to drip all over it anyway, I don't have that much water on this float. Okay, so I want to hit it once, turn the float around, hit it one more time. Now that gives me the float finished for above the door and above the window. Now it's full. It's full of sand again. It's full of stucco. So I have to feather that joint in, guys. All joints have got to be feathered in. What does that mean? It means I got to use some water. I got to pull it upward with water. And I got to take the transition, the joint, into the existing. You see that? You take the new and bring it into the existing. That's called, in plastering term, feathering the joint. People say, joint, ganja? No, man. Another kind of joint. Okay. I'm cleaning the water out, cleaning the sand out, cleaning the trim. Clean side of water. Come down. Boom. Just like that. And while I'm down here, I might as well get my bottom. Tap, tap, light. Okay, same thing. It's a clean float. The clean float, yeah, it's dirty water, big deal. It's a clean float, so I'm going to take it right here, go half on that door trim. Half on the door trim, and it's going to clean the majority. The second time should get most of the residue off. Now, remember the transition. Transition, you take the new into the existing. Piece of cake if you know how. The biggest thing about this stuff is not the application, guys. We all know what the biggest thing is, right? The material knowledge. And that, I'm telling you all about the material knowledge, guys. It's all here. So if you have a question, listen to this a couple times. If you're a young plaster, listen to it a couple times because repetition makes it sink in. If you watch this only once and you're just a young plaster and you're trying to so-called lead the field or impress people, impress your boss, or you want to make money and you're a handyman or another stucco guy, repetition. So you watch what I'm saying here, guys, because I've been doing this forever and I'm as good as the next guy doing it. So these tips right here, you can put a lot of food on the table. Like right here. Okay, so that right here, this is not clean. I'm going to clean my float. Don't be afraid to hit it hard. I hit it hard, but I'm going with the bucket, so it's making this roundish, so it's perfect. If I slam it down here, I'm going to make it go cockeyed, and it's not going to be able to float that well. So, okay, this door trim, I need to clean it. Take it that way and down and pull it away. Spin that, I spun it just now, you see, I spun it. So I take the clean part and put it there. Now, that's okay, 'cause I'm going to take one of these rags here and wipe the door frame. Anyway, guys, that's about it. Let's see. I'm going to bring some of the aggregate out now, the last piece. Boom! And then me, Madeleine, and Jay are going to clean up a little bit. I'm going to take it, clean this tape. Remember how I showed you? Right here, spin it, and pull it down. And we take this, the transition, that's feathering in the joint, feathering in the transition. If you can't feather in a transition properly, guys, doesn't matter how good you are, it's going to look like crap. So the transition, the joints, all that, everything, it all goes hand in hand, guys. It's all, if you know all these little tricks, these little things, you could feed your family well. It's just doing the work. And actually, guys, this is a good workout. I mean, I love this stuff. You can do it, you can get paid, you can make money, you can stay in shape. What's not to love about plastering? Yeah, it's kind of dirty, but look at me, I stay clean. You too can stay clean if you want, especially if you got to wash your own clothes. Why do you think I stay clean? I got to wash my own clothes, guys. Anyway, that's it right there. There's nothing to it. Well, there is something to it. It takes a lot of practice, and I've been doing it a long time. Anyway, from Jason, Madeleine, myself, we thank you guys for watching. Stay safe. Yeah, we're still in the pandemic. We're still in this nightmare. But anyhow, we wish all you guys true health. Well, we'll see you on the next one, and we thank you for watching.
By the way, folks, my dad and I are now members of Amazon affiliates, so if you're looking to buy any of the plastering or construction tools you've seen in our videos and you want to support us in the process, you can check the links below our video, or you can go to our website and get them there. If you have any other questions for tools we don't have linked, email us direct and we'll respond to you then.
Once again, folks, we thank you for watching, and I really enjoy all your comments.
If you guys like this video, please click the like button down below, and also if you enjoy what we do, subscribe to our channel so we can keep making these videos for you.
My name is Kirk.
And Jay.
We thank you for watching, and from the entire Giordano family, we'll see you on the next one.